study of intentionality. This one's really meaningful for me to do because I feel like I've been drifting through the days, allocating most of my energy to feeling depressed and anxious. I feel like I've been indulging the negative thoughts in my head. So I decided to do some research into what it means to be intentional and how to actually do it. I was left with some predictable ones and some ones that were more vague. But sometimes the simple answers are the most helpful. So I've kind of tailored that to my situation, and hopefully it's helpful to other people. So the top tips that I found in my research, first one is to do a media cleanse. So this just means being mindful of the media you consume and how much of it you're consuming. Clear out your follows, pick one reliable news source, and pick one specific time of the day to engage with that media and kind of just be done with it for the rest of the day. So that's kind of a good rule of thumb to make sure that you're not just like bombarded with constant negative media, and make sure that you're not getting too overwhelmed by all the bullshit that's out there. Next one is ask why before you buy. This one is pretty simple. Buying things for a reason and not just because they're there or because you have the money. I struggle with this because I do enjoy creature comforts, and there's no denying that little boost of dopamine we get whenever we buy something. I was thinking that maybe we could do like some reverse psychology of a sort, and make it so that we get that little dose whenever we put something back on the shelf or close out of the shopping cart. I know that I have many things. The things that I have are good. I have what I need. But another little trick that I've kind of done before, specifically with clothes, is to kind of put a stack of them away. And then, a month or 2 months or however long later, open them back up. So it's kind of like you're shopping in stuff that you already own. And that kind of quells the feeling to go out and buy more stuff. Having intentionality with what you buy is a big thing, and that will ultimately relieve your financial stress as well. So the next one is, this one I found everywhere, and this is kind of one of the more simple ones, is to do daily self-reflection. For me, this is best as a journaling practice, but it's also helpful to kind of have check-ins in place with your support system so that you're able to vocalize what's on your mind. And this is also an opportunity to practice being an active listener for others who are vocalizing their own reflections. And doing these videos, I hope, is also a form of self-reflection for me. I think you can make this more intentional by setting out specific times for self-reflection. So it's not just like, okay, like whenever you feel like looking back at your day or whenever you feel the need to. It's something that's kind of non-negotiable. It's something that you have to do each day. It's just kind of reflect, whether it's earlier in the day, kind of checking in with how you're feeling, or towards the end of the day, whatever works for you. I think it's really, really important, and something that I don't make a whole lot of time for. And when I do make time for it, I don't really do it with the intention of self-reflection. It's more like venting. So yeah, having scheduled daily self-reflection, I think, is a big point of intentionality. That kind of leads into my next point, which is to maintain structure. I know that I struggle with balance and structure. There are times when I get overly fixated on sticking to a structure, to the point where I don't end up doing things that I enjoy, and I leave no room for spontaneity. Then there are times, kind of like I've been in recently, where I have a severe lack of structure and end up wasting time, which leads me to feel bad about wasting time, and then I waste more time feeling bad. Maybe we can start with a daily schedule, and even schedule in like spontaneous time, to initially make sure that there's some balance and some time to be playful and be creative and be adventurous. I know that I operate best when I have a schedule to stick to that goes just beyond a simple to-do list. For some, a simple list is enough, but for others, making a really like beautiful color coordinated schedule for each day can make a really big difference. So the next one that I kind of saw out there that I thought was meaningful, is that it's okay to say no. It's okay to say no to things that don't align with your values and priorities. However, this doesn't mean to say no to everything that causes anxiety or fear. It's good to say yes to things that may cause discomfort sometimes, and that's how we grow and eventually overcome those fears. But saying yes to everything can lead to burnout and undue stress. So it's okay to say no to things that aren't in line with your goals and your values. But to say no, you need to be really solid in your values, which kind of comes to the next point, which is identify your values and come back to them often. The operative phrase being to come back to them often, because values do shift and fluctuate in importance, and that's okay. But reminding yourself often, even daily, of what your values are actually help with making decisions and sticking to your schedule. So all of this is kind of related. You decide what your values are to decide what you say yes to and decide how you structure your day. Values aren't goals, though. They are what guide your goals and help you get there. It's hard to make goals and therefore hard to make a path to these goals if you're ambivalent about what your values and priorities actually are. And the next one is to energy map your day. And this one I found interesting because I've never really given much thought to it and like how my energy levels change in a day. We each have times of the day where our energy is optimal. And the more we pay attention to and take note of these times, the better we can structure our day in order to maximize our energy. So like maybe some people peak earlier in the morning, some maybe get like a rush of energy later at night. I personally don't really know, like I haven't really noticed a pattern in my energy levels, but I also haven't been consciously like mapping it out. So that's something I'll be paying more attention to like see if there is a pattern and when I'm likely to be more productive. And this next one I like a lot. It's to fail forward. So celebrate them, fail often, even fail on purpose. Getting acquainted with failure helps so much when it comes down to actually overcoming anxieties and fear. So incorporating small, low-stakes failures makes it easier to confront bigger possibilities of failure. You can fail and you can survive the failure. Each failure is really just a learning opportunity. And doing something silly like maybe like high-fiving after an unsuccessful attempt at something can help a lot with developing that better relationship with failure and make it easier to tackle things that kind of come with that risk. So I really like that one a lot. I thought it's kind of more of a psychological trick. It's called the 5-second rule. This is a little tip offered by a few sources that I found, that you should count backwards from 5, and then when you hit 0, you just do the damn thing. You just do whatever you need to do. If it's a task, if it's getting out of bed, it doesn't matter. Like, just if you're hesitating and you're procrastinating, give yourself a 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then do it. and that usually makes it a lot easier to at least get the ball rolling. This next one is visualization. So, pretty self explanatory. Imagine yourself actually going through the day, including simple tasks and activities. This can also mean imagining yourself meeting your goals and accomplishing the thing you're hoping to accomplish, whether it's that day in the near future or somewhere in the long run. I think the key here is to be really specific. Imagine all the sights, sensations, smells, feelings, who's around, how does your body feel, what's the setting. Kind of paint the full picture in your mind and see it all the way through. And the idea being that it'll be easier to make this a reality, actually. And the next one is the next tip I found out there was to set rewards for yourself. You deserve a reward just for waking up and existing. So think about what makes you happy and what would create a positive association in your mind between an action and the feeling it brings. Maybe the reward is like a self-care thing, maybe it's a food thing, a social thing, anything that feels like a small reward to you. And be specific here as well, meaning know what exactly the reward is going to be and what act will earn that reward. So yeah, I think it's really important to celebrate our victories and treat ourselves, and because we deserve that. I mean, we do a lot in the course of a day, and we do a lot of shit that we don't want to do, and we do them despite not wanting to. And sometimes a little reward, nothing too crazy, is really, really helpful in making you not dread certain things. I really like that one. And the last one is to avoid comparison. At that point, you're just wasting time and energy by comparing yourself to others. There's not a finite amount of success out there. There's not a finite amount of happiness to be had. So if others are happy and successful, or seemingly successful, it in no way subtracts from the amount of success and happiness that you can have for yourself. So celebrate others, be kind, and forge the path that's right for you. So that's all the tips that I kind of found when I was looking for how to live a life of intentionality. So I'm going to focus on putting these into practice. I'm just viewing it as kind of an experiment to see if living a more intentional life is attainable. I know rationally that it's attainable, but there's always that voice in your head that says like, oh, but it's not going to work for me. So we'll see what happens, and I'm planning on kind of tracking that progress to see if I can reach a life of living intentionally.